Okay. So I think we covered the big data side. So I think let's move on to the other sections. Yeah, I think this this is very important to know the regions and zones. Right. I think the yeah, I think overall geographic wise, so how you want your resources, where your resources should be available. So yeah, in there are regions is something at a geographical level, um, where we're talking about different countries or continents, where your data center is located and you want to do the data transfer, and where AWS or Azure is having their data centers across the world. So that is at a geographical level. Zones is more restricted to local areas where this data centers are available within a region. So region is let's say country. It could be, for example, like India. India is a country, so India will have let's say three zones, three data centers across. For example, in Mumbai is one place, or any other places within where AWS or Azure is having. So similarly, the US example, US East is a region. Under US East region, there will be multiple zones. So zone is nothing but where the data center is available within that US East location. So yeah, so with that background, so in the AWS, if you compare the same thing on the AWS and Azure, uh, I think this is the hierarchy. So availability set is equivalent to subnet on the AWS side. Subnet, if you remember our networking side of it, so we within VPC we can create subnets. It's just a network boundary, right? So the equivalent of that in the Azure is availability set. So availability set is we are talking at uh, not even data center, inside data center, where a particular inside one data center where your sub network is available. So if I had to logically think bigger, like this is a network within a data center. This is data center, and this is a region. So if you think that way, that is it's going in like ascending order, right? So same here, subnet. Subnet is within a data center. We're talking about one particular sub network, okay? And then we're talking about where the sub network is available. It is available inside a data center, which is availability zone. And there could be multiple availability zones available in yeah, same here, both AWS and Azure. And again, like for example, US East example, if you take, both of them have three data centers within US East, three availability zones. So generally, these availability zones are separated by within some miles, like 100 miles, or both of them have some requirements in how far these availability zones should be available, so that if there is any problem in one data center, other data center which is 100 miles away is not impacted. So that is the purpose of this availability zones. So and then the more bigger version is region. Yeah, this is again US East itself is a region. Yeah, under that you'll have availability zones. So here the region equivalent is paired regions. Again, I don't know why you paired, but yeah, so it is. Uh, yeah, paired regions is what their terminology, but for the conceptually both are same, right? Okay, again, coming back to uh, Janish. I think it's your question, right? So for in your big data framework, how will you define the placement strategy, right? So you will select availability set. So that it is all within your nodes in a big data cluster. When you define, you generally select availability set or a subnet on the AWS side, so that all your nodes are within one data center. So that way, uh, the data replication across regions or across availability zones or yeah, we can overcome all those things if all are local. So yeah, so this is one placement strategy. I mean, this is called placement strategies, like where you want to place your resource. So yeah. So either you can create a virtual machine, for example, take a virtual machine case, you can create a virtual machine within an availability set, or you can create it in an availability zone, or you can create on a at a more region level also. So you can select that always. I mean, these two are the options that you have primarily when you create a virtual machine. So yeah, and this is more Azure specific, which I thought it's a good point to put. I mean. The availability set, the scope, if you, it's more about comparison of these Azure terminologies. What is the scope, for example, scope of failure, if you look at, if you're creating a virtual machines, let's take that example, creating a virtual machines within availability set, within availability zones, and within regions, right? If you, so then scope of failure is if all your three VMs are in one availability set, which means you're talking about within one data center and one network. So then the scope of failure is if the rack is failed, then your entire all three VMs will be gone, right? You don't have a backup. Um, but here the scope of failure is at data center level. The chances of rack being failure is higher compared to data center being failed, right? So it is even better advantage. Like risk is mitigated to some extent. But here it is more at a region level. So the spare region is at region level. So, and same thing, the routing aspect, if you take availability set is more at a load balancer is what is required for you, because all are within your rack. But here, when two VMs are in different availability zones, and you want to do a load balancing on those two, then you use cross zone load balancer. Uh, Again, one same load balancer, the scope is different. The scope is here within data center with in that specifically subnet. Uh, Here the scope of the load balancer is two different availability zones, for example. But here we're talking about region, across region, then you use traffic manager. Yeah, so that I'm just relating all these things here with the regions and zones. The network latency. So here the it's all within availability set. So best use case is for a big data use case where in the big data use cases you need a lot of nodes and all the nodes, if they're within availability set, the network latency is less because everything is within the subnet. So data transfer is faster. Uh, but if there are different data center, one VM is in one data center, other VM in other data center, generally there will be a slight network latency will be there. But here we're talking about across region. So one VM in India and one VM in US, then generally the latency is higher. So then the virtual networking aspect. So yeah, these two are VNets. Between two regions, if we have to talk, if you remember the VPC peering in AWS world, we discussed this. So here it is cross-region VNet peering. So two regions, um, one VM in India region and other VM in US East. If they both want to communicate, then we're talking about communication between different regions. So here VNet scope is restricted to availability zones only. But if you're looking for communication between two regions, then you need cross-region VNet peering. So yeah, so that is the scope of this. Nothing much here. Then DevOps and application monitoring. In this section, um, yeah, so this is Azure Monitor. This is very, very important. I mean, even on the equivalent side on the CloudWatch. So this is kind of a cross-functional. I mean, whatever product you go, you need a monitoring, right? So you need to see, if it is VM, you need to see the VM logs. If you're talking about ELB, you need to see the load balancer logs. So every product is having this cross-cutting concern of monitoring. So yeah, so this is more of a you will use these products in what are other products that you work. This is kind of a common product that you use. So yeah, the CloudWatch or X-Ray equivalent to that is Azure Monitor. Um, in this monitor, you monitor both logs as well as metrics. I mean, both together in one product. Um, So and then yeah, that's about the monitoring side of it. Then DevOps is one product here in Azure where yeah, we can do all the deployment, commit pipeline, everything. But here it's all separate. So you want to create a deployment, DevOps deployment pipeline. So use code deploy. If you want a Git, then Git or any other GitHub equivalents, then use code commit where it's get a version control. Then code pipeline is creating a pipeline for your DevOps. So that is what is code pipeline is. But here it's all DevOps. I mean everything is inbuilt into one product, which is DevOps, Azure DevOps. Developer tools. It's more about IDE integrations and command line tools, which will help your developer productivity. So that is the developer tools. Again, build is a separate thing in here, but here it's all DevOps only. I see this is logical, clubbing all of them into one because more or less everything is all interlinked. Of course, you need to your DevOps starts with a Git, right? So it Git and then you and it as and when developer do a code commit to Git, automatically the DevOps pipeline will kick off, and then it will deploy to primarily the CI/CD platform, and then deploy it, the code to some the binaries to some either on-premise or cloud platforms. So yeah, so I think that way it is logical to have everything in one. Um, then yeah, CLI and PowerShell again we discussed it. So command line and PowerShell, these are the two options here. That is one big difference. So the PowerShell component is very unique in Microsoft Azure side. But of course, CLI is there in both. But the CLI here is all Bash only. Here also CLI is Bash only. I mean, for the people from Linux world, they know shell scripting more than PowerShell scripting. And PowerShell is for Windows Microsoft developers, where they will be more comfortable. But the Linux guys, they will be more comfortable with shell scripting. So yeah, so that is CLI is for Linux shell programming, and PowerShell is for Windows shell programming. And then yeah, coming to the automation side, yeah, I mean, let's say you have a chef or let's say you already have investments to chef or puppet or any other equivalents where you want to do automate the infrastructure deployment or creation using scripts rather than using the UI or PowerShell or CLI. So then, if you're a chef-based shop, then ops work is, I mean, chef is more popular compared to other puppet or other salt or other equivalents. But yeah, so if it is like chef-based stuff, then OpsWorks is your AWS equivalent, and here it is called Azure Automation. So you can do the automation of creating the resources, like creating a VM, right? So you can create the VM. In real world, you will not use much of UI, so you use more of a automation aspect. So where you store that automation code base in your version control system, right, Git or any other equivalents. So yeah, so there you use automation, Azure Automation as a source. Um, and this equivalent on if I think this is a proprietary automation or OpsWorks is a cloud proprietary. But in the real world, I think the cloud vendors this understood that the people are more used to a vendor neutral product and the open source world, which is more popular. So they support other products also. Yeah, I think now I think I mean just being here in this world, uh, OpsWork or automation is all proprietary, but in the open source world, Terraform is more popular. So Terraform is like you can do scripting in a cloud neutral way, and the Terraform supports multi-cloud support. So using Terraform script, you can deploy your code base to either Google or AWS or Azure. So Terraform is more popular open source in the open source world. So yeah, I think now they're planning to give support to Terraform. I think AWS and Azure both are now supporting Terraform in the automation space. So yeah, but of course, apart from that, they also have their own proprietary toolings also, which is this cloud formation on the AWS side, and here it is Resource Manager. VM extensions and Azure automation. It's not just one tool. I mean, based on the purpose, there are other options available. Just to be more clearer, I think this Resource Manager is is a JSON-based scripting language. Where it's also called as ARM, Azure Resource Manager. It's ARM or Resource Manager, both are same. Uh, so there's something called more popular version called ARM template. So ARM template is what a JSON based scripting which will automatically run what are the inputs that you give in the UI. So behind the scenes, it generates a JSON based template. And you can basically save that template so that next time you can use the same template to create, for example, hundreds of nodes, for example. So that JSON based structure is what is called ARM or Azure Resource Manager. Uh, so and apart from that, something called VM extensions. So you can also use like it's primarily meant for VM creation, where you can, let's say, if you have any startup scripts that you want to run, either through PowerShell or a CLI. So you can write a shell script or PowerShell script, and you can attach that to VM extensions as part of the VM creation, so it will do that job for you. For example, simple use case is as and when you create a VM, you also want to you want to install some softwares like your security tools inside, your homegrown security tools inside the VM. And also other use cases installing IAS server, or I'm just giving an example. So, or HTTPD service, a Linux VM. We want to install HTTP server on that. So yeah, so you can use this VM extension. It's nothing but a simple programming way of doing it, and you can attach it to the VM extension, so those startup works can be automated. So that's where is the VM extensions role. Then Azure automation, again, what we saw here. So it's more high level scripting language where you can do a lot of you can connect multiple products, not just VM here. It is just for VM, but here you can do multiple things to all the products. So this is more equivalent to the cloud formation here, Azure automation, right? Yeah. So that's about this. So summary is the monitor is equal to CloudWatch here. DevOps is all the DevOps pipelines, developer tools is there. Then CLI and PowerShell, and automation area, it is AR Resource Manager, VM extensions, and Azure automation. It's all cloud formation on this side. The next one is the management area. Uh, so this is this management area is more about more about some helper tools which will help you in your daily life. So that is what is management category. It's not the core functionality as such. It's more about helping helper tools. For example, advisor, trusted advisor. So this is more about a helper tool which will help you to help you suggest whether if you are not following any security practices. So it will you can run this advisor tool, and this advisor will recommend you some suggestions in terms of let's say if you are a VM, you're creating a VM and you are exposing a port, RDP port or SSH port. So you're exposing it to the entire world on public internet. So then it will give an alert here. So that way you can take a look and address that. It's more about a security tool, security friendly tool, help you to help. You can configure a lot of rules, and Azure or AWS, they have pre-configured rules that are there. But yeah, you can also customize them for your requirements also. So um, so that is this tool. This is primarily billing. You want to take some reports out of your cloud usage, then billing API, or here it is usage and billing report. This will help you on what is your billing for the cloud resources and split like what is for the monthly expense, what is split up. So all these things that will be provided here. It's more about portal. I'm talking about the UI here. Yeah, one thing is that AWS calls us management console. Here Azure calls us Azure portal. It is nothing but the UI that we are seeing here, and Azure it's called as portal. Then at Azure, yeah, I mean, especially when you want to do the migration, like where you want to discover. This is primarily this tool will help you. Let's say your scenario where you decide as a company on-premise you wanted to move things to cloud, but you are in a preparatory phase for that. So you want to migrate things to cloud, but you're not started yet. But you're just doing the analysis of what it takes. So then you need some helper tools to visualize what is the estimate, what is the time, or what tools to use, because there are a whole lot of tools in the cloud world. So what is the equivalent of your on-premise world? So and how much time it takes to migrate things, and so all the pre-assessment tool. So that is what this tools will help you. The application discovery service or migrate. These tools will help you to decide on the prerequisites for you to start the cloud journey, cloud migration. And then next one is monitor. It's again the EC2 uh, systems manager or monitor is primarily help you to monitor. I mean, this is more EC2 has its. The monitoring aspect, right? For EC2 is like virtual machine in the AWS world. So EC2 is one of the most used product, the virtual machines. But so in AWS world, they added more monitoring tools for the virtual machine. That's why it's called System Manager. So it's EC2 System Manager. So it's the scope is just restricted to EC2, which is virtual machine. So they have a specific product to monitor just the virtual machine. So again, but the equivalent of that is monitor again here. I think whatever we saw here in the previous slide, this monitor is one tool, one definition for monitoring anything, not just VM. It is for all the resources. It's just one tool, monitor. Um, right. Yeah, and then resource health is primarily this will help you to monitor the resources, your resources as well as the cloud resources. For example, if you want to see primarily it's for cloud Azure health primarily. If you have to say this, um, let's say if there is data center, we're hearing a lot of news these days, right? So Azure or AWS. They say that one data center is down or it's down for some time. Um, so all that information, if some downtime of Azure or AWS resources are there, so you can see that first information that you will see. I mean, the first line information you will get that information is of any downtimes on the cloud. So you can get that in the resource health or equivalent is person health dashboard. So yeah, I think if you couldn't connect suddenly to some network with in cloud, or so if there's any downtime, first thing you have to go and check is this section resource health, where it will publish if there is any downtimes on the cloud side, primarily on the Azure side here. Right, and then monitor is again here. CloudTrail is primarily for how the data trail is happening. I want to monitor various cloud resources, like when a VM is created, who did it and when. So kind of audit requirements. So CloudTrail is a solution, but here again it's all monitor. Uh, and This application insights is more about your application level monitoring. Whatever monitor is meant for the infrastructure level more of. But if you're looking for your application, your Java or Python based application, you want to monitor or you want to expose some custom metrics from your application, then your solution is application insights. So it is not at infra level, but it's at your application metrics. So that is what is the the classification. Monitor and application insights, both are for monitoring, but the purpose is different. Monitor is more at infrastructure monitoring. This is more about your application level monitoring. Yeah, here it is all CloudWatch on the AWS world. So you get both custom metrics as well as infra metrics. Everything is in one place. Is CloudWatch. Uh, then of course cost management. So if, this will help you to identify where your cost is shooting up and how we can improve or reduce the cost and all those things. So this tools will help you to monitor your cost. That's about the management side. Summary is advisor, trusted advisor. It's more about security recommendations, billing API, and it's more about the billing aspects, portal, management console, migrate, preparatory work. You use migrate or discovery service, monitor specific to EC2 systems manager, uh, health of AWS, health of Azure resources is resource health. It's personal health dashboard. Monitor again for primarily for audit purposes. You use CloudTrail here. Application insights, more application level monitoring is here. It's all CloudWatch. Cost management, Cost Explorer. And then next is mobile. Um, Mobile is one answer in Azure. It is App Center. Uh, I know this Xamarin is what is the solution for mobile development. So so that's what Microsoft embraces Xamarin. But yeah, I think there are other popular open source equivalents are also available. But yeah, so Xamarin is their own. It's more about acquired product, but yeah, that is what is promoted under the mobile category of the Microsoft world. And then on the cloud equivalent, it is App Center. So that is one place where you get all about your apps that you're going to deploy, mobile apps that are going to deploy. So you can see that information. I mean, maybe if it is good to if you here on AWS side, you have separate categories. For example, you can in Mobile Hub, you can see all your apps that is developed and like which users your apps, which location is this apps are being used, and all those app monitoring. You will get it in this space. This is more about SDK. There are various mobile SDKs, iOS SDK, Android SDK. So all those SDKs you get it here in this mobile SDK space. Here it's all App Center. Uh, Cognito is a tooling in AWS world primarily for the mobile login authentication system. The login is some of which is very common in all the requirements. If you take so they developed a tool called Cognito, which is primarily help you for the login setup. But here it's all App Center. And the AWS already have a, device form where you can, if you want, I mean, in one bigger problem in the mobiles area is that uh, there are a lot of mobile devices are there, and your app should support sizes from small to medium to big. All devices your 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 app should support, right? So it is impossible to test your application by buying all the mobiles. So the device form is trying to address that problem, where they give say take Samsung or uh, any product on the LG or whatever. So any mobile product that you take, iPhone, so various iPhones. Well, for example, you have to test your app. You need to support for iOS 5 onwards to the latest iOS 10. So latest iOS 10 you need to support. So you need to yeah. So it is not possible to buy all the iOS 5 to iOS 10 mobile apps, right? So yeah, but they have this facility where you can select what version of device you need and what product of device you need. Accordingly, you'll get a simulator for it. Basically just online, it's a basically simulator. Uh, it's not a real device, but you get a simulator equivalent of that equivalent device. So basically, you can test your app on the simulators and ensure that it is all working fine in all the devices that you want to support. So again, here it is all App Center, and of course the analytics aspect in the mobile. How many people are using which geography, which app is used most, all those things. The analytics aspect here is mobile analytics. It's App Center here. I think we will stop at this point. So security, identity, and access is a very important section. The IAM is one line answer in the security space in the AWS world. Here it is Active Directory, and yeah, I think definitely in one way or other we are. If your company is a Microsoft shop or a non-Microsoft shop, also you would have used Active Directory in your on-premise. So so yeah, it's more popular in the on-premise world, and the same thing is now extracted to the cloud. On-premise is called just Active Directory, and in the cloud world it is Azure Active Directory. So that's Azure appended before. So but this has a lot of tools. I mean, subcategory. I mean, this itself is a very vast product. And I started reading this Active Directory, and at some point I got lost in terms of there's so many things inside that, which is yeah. I mean, I know it's equivalent. There's also equivalent here, but there are so many products, sub-products under this Active Directory, which itself it has its own domain of learning. Yeah, it starts with AD Connect, for example. I'm just giving an example here. AD Connect is one such tool where you want to synchronize your on-premise Active Directory with the cloud Active Directory. And here again we have various categories like managed identities and non-managed identities, and then you are managing your devices. Your laptop is also a device. And mobile space and multi-factor authentication. Everything is there inside this. Um, yeah, this is a bigger umbrella of a security space that yeah, we need to, and all the permissions management is all also there here. So you can create policies and all those things. So whatever you see in IAM, so same thing is all there here in Active Directory. Um, Especially on the you can give role-based permissions. Here it's called role-based access control. It's called, very popularly it's called as RBAC. So in Azure world, here it's all IAM. So RBAC is primarily meant for managing the roles. So that is you can create your own role, but here it's all IAM only. Uh, uh, Inside IAM you will create a role, and you can use either AWS managed role, or you can create your own custom role. Same concept, but here it's just as it's outside as a separate product. And then I think we discussed about these organizations. In the first slide, if you remember, where we have AWS accounts, and if you're talking about multiple accounts and manage multiple AWS accounts, um, for example, in the same enterprise, there will be a HR department and there will be a human resource, I mean, the HR department, finance department. So each both these departments are having AWS accounts separately, but the billing should be one. Then yeah, so you'll associate them, and will form a hierarchy by creating using organizations. Here it is subscription management, followed by with the RBAC, whatever you saw here. So here it's called subscriptions, if you remember the first slide. So yeah, so with subscription and RBAC, you manage equivalent functionality for organizations here. Um, and MFA is the same for both. It's more second login, or more than one login, for example. Apart from your user ID and password, some token-based authentication. So extras, more than one ways of authentication. So yeah, soft token is more popular. I mean, of course, apart from that, you also have hardware-based tokens as well, RSA tokens equivalent. But yeah, soft token is more popular with these mobile apps now. So Either you can install Google Apps, Google Authenticator, or Microsoft's own Authenticator. You can install those apps, which will give you as a second login option apart from your password. Um, then this is yeah, this is one of the extension of the Azure Active Directory, but where you want to manage multiple domains within Active Directory, so that becomes its own complex world. So there will be a lot of domains that you create, and under each domain you create uh, uh, a lot of resources or applications, and you have to manage the users groups, and the domains. So yeah, that that management of everything is will become complex when you're talking about managing a bigger organization. So that's where yeah, this Azure Active Directory domain services will help you. Equivalent to that here is a directory service. So yeah, it's more about managing your domains in the Active Directory. Then here. Uh, yeah, for it is all for B2B, business to business. But if you're looking for a B2C, where you're talking about managing an external user, not within your organization. I'm talking about uh, uh, outside person within your no, not within your organization, but outside. I mean, end customer, for example, you want to onboard an end customer into and you want to give access to him to your product. Um, then we're talking about B2C, not B2B, right? So C is a consumer who is not within your organization. He can be any person outside your organization. So there comes all this federal authentication comes into picture, where you can enable that outside person using a Gmail or a Facebook login, or any social media logins. So managing that is a B2C scenario, and equivalent to that is Cognito. That is here it is Azure Active Directory B2C. So um, then this policies managing people across departments or across companies. So people, if you want to manage the roles and responsibilities, what user can do when. So this is policy. Here it is organizations. And here managing those groups is also will be tougher once the groups are going bigger. So I mean the groups is like you'll add multiple users to a group, and managing that group itself will become complex when the organization is very big. So there here management groups will help you. Here it is organizations. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I took more time here today, but I think logically you ought to break here. Any questions?
So we are covering everything, right? We finished with all the theory today, right? Comparison wise.
Yeah. I think almost done. I think a few more are there, but I think very minor. I think if we spend another 15 20 minutes, I think it should be we'll be done. Maybe I think we'll
Yeah,
continue that in the next session, and then followed by that we'll go with the practice sessions.
yeah. So uh, I think it's worth it. Initially, it looks very big, but